What's up, everyone? Tag a friend and let them know we're about to get into it.
Welcome to the Speak Her Podcast with your host, Camille Essick, the podcast where creators and innovators connect. Let's get started.
Help keep the Speaker Podcast ad-free. Hit the link below and buy me a coffee. Your support keeps the podcast free of interruptions while bringing you more impactful conversations.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. Please share this and tag a friend who needs to hear this.
Hey everyone, happy holidays and welcome back. This is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and critics connect. What I need you to do right now is hit that notification bell and subscribe across all social platforms, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Pandora. We're about a little under 300 downloads away from hitting our end of the year goal of 11,000 downloads across all streaming platforms. And I'm working to build the YouTube channel, so slide over there and subscribe. The intro that you heard, I wrote that myself, and then I use AI to create the musicality of it. So I do have new songs. I just released a remix to Delulu last night. So now that is also streaming across all platforms. And I did release the visual, which is also on my YouTube channel. And so what I've been doing, you all, is taking some of our most popular podcast episodes and flipping them into music to create a soundtrack for you all. So not only do you have the podcast, but to increase the experience of the entire, Speaker Podcast multiverse, I'm gifting you all with a soundtrack. And those downloads are free on social media. So be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe. And I'm so excited. I don't know. I might give y'all a Christmas song. I don't know. We'll see. But enough about me. My brother and friend is here. He has literally been here since season 1. He is a veteran. And we literally call him family to the show. The amazing award-winning, my brother and friend, y'all clap it up, Derek D. Ross.
Hey.
Yeah, I got some applause now.
Listen, I'm here for it all.
Yes, so, it's been a minute. What? No, you were here for Heart and Soul.
Yeah.
That was an amazing event. How was your Thanksgiving? How's everything?
Thanksgiving was lit. It was good. I enjoyed it. I didn't travel, but I was very intentional. I've been really focused this year on, finding the spaces that serve me, not overextending myself. So what's good enough for me to make sure I feel like I showed up, but then also had space for me. So I did a lot and still felt like I had more. I went to a Zumba class on on Thanksgiving morning. I had a turkey burn on Friday. I had to teach class on Saturday, and I went to another class on Sunday. So I was dancing. I went bowling with some friends and family. I saw my cousins. I did a lot and still felt rested. So yes, it was a good one.
I love it. So I want to give you your flowers. And I know we chat offline, but then we are constantly liking each other's things online. And weren't you in LA, West Coast, doing something with Essence? You need, give us the tea on that.
So Essence is next. We're gonna hit Essence next. We were in LA for the Ebony Power 100.
Yes.
And my client was an honoree under the category of leaders in sports. So we flew out to LA for the gala and for the event, and it was amazing. It's been on my bucket list for some years now. I was like, oh, I want to get my client Ebony Power 100. This is years back. And so to be able to in real time live that experience of things that you once prayed for and just be in the midst of that, it was nothing but God. So
I love it. When I blow up, I definitely want you on my team. I'm so serious because you're such a hard worker. You're just an integrous person, and I trust you with me. I trust you with me. So I know
that means a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I
So
appreciate it.
I'm so proud of you. And um, I know you're in the mix, but can y'all bring like CIAA back to Charlotte? Like, I know. Yeah, it's okay. I just had to put
Yeah.
that out
Well,
there.
they just signed a an extension in their contract, so they'll be
Originally,
in Baltimore for I don't know how many. Usually it's like a 3-year deal, but I don't know how long they'll be in Baltimore. But they did extend the tournament in
yeah,
Baltimore. Charlotte came close. They I think they submitted a bid. When I was reading, they submitted a bid for the tournament, try to get it back in Charlotte. But you know,
yeah. What's so
yeah.
wild is I didn't really know about it, and when I moved here, it was literally like weeks between me getting here and then it happened, and we were just
Hmm.
connecting. You like come out, and I literally was still like unpacking and kind of feeling overwhelmed by being in a new city by myself.
Yeah.
And if I had known it was that huge, I would have gone. And then the next year they went away. But I
Hmm.
really hate the fact that the city did not appreciate the power of Black dollar. And I really think Charlotte, white Charlotte, I'm gonna go ahead and say it, they're missing that money and they've been trying to woo them back. And they're just like, you had us and you didn't do what it took to keep, so that's
Yeah.
just how I look at it. But I'm happy for them either way. It's just I was like, man, it was right across the street from where I worked. Like, dang,
Yeah.
yeah,
I will say this: having worked with the CIAA for, I mean, that's where my career started with
yeah,
CIAA. So I was a part of the team that brought the CIAA when it first came to Charlotte. So year
mhm,
one, like ground zero, get down uptown was the tagline and the slogan. And I remember that. That was I was baby out of college, and my first big account and contract with CIAA. And to be a part of that team and to kind of see the growth of it in
mhm,
Charlotte. But I will say this, and it's a lesson just in even in what you're sharing. Like, you have to appreciate the things that are in your life and not take it for granted,
yeah,
because there will be seasons when there are opportunities or someone else will show up and really appreciate the gem and the value that you are and show you the respect and the love that you deserve. And
mhm.
you will, move to where you're valued, right? And
I
that's like
totally agree.
people, friendships, yeah.
Yeah,
So, you know, we'll see.
yeah.
You never say never. It
Never
may
say never.
in the
Yeah.
future it may come back.
Yeah, I'm rooting for them only because right now what we're seeing with this whole anti-DEI situation,
Hmm.
that, um, it only speaks even louder
Yeah.
to the impact and the power of our money, our dollar.
Hmm.
We've seen
Yeah.
that through the Target boycott, and with that, and I think the city of Charlotte is really going, "Oh," and so
Yeah.
value and understanding value and taking things for granted. Not just with economics, like you said, with relationships.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You have to, in the times that we're in now, you have to have unapologetic and fierce allies and supporters. You can't question. You can't have a question about, are you really supporting me, or is there another agenda? You have to have true and avid supporters
Mhm.
that is going to be down for you no matter what, and not move at the sign of pressure. And I think that's the season that we're in. And I think the CIAA definitely has a partner in that with Baltimore and their mayor and all the folks there. They really do value. And actually CIAA just brought the football championship back to Durham. And so they just had it a couple weeks ago at Durham County Stadium, and the Durham Sports Commission here, they were, rallied behind it, supported it hands down. And so it's back here. I don't know how many years, but they moved it from, it was in Salem, Virginia, right outside of Roanoke. And then they brought it back here. It used to be here years ago, but they brought it back here to Durham. And so you see that kind of support with the cities that really support the growth and your mission and vision and what you're trying to do. So it's for everybody, that's a lesson. Support those that support you, because they will make sure that you're seen, you're heard, you're valued, and you get the respect that you deserve. So
Yes. And kind of touching on another, you celebrated 10 years with the Inspire Project. And even with that coming to we'll say a pause, like
yeah.
how do you manage those moments where there's a pause or even an exit? and
Hmm.
not to, yeah, we use the term, oh, bittersweet, but how do you sit back and
Hmm.
reflect in those moments? But to say, but it was 10 years and
Yeah.
we did that. Like,
Yeah, it's it is bittersweet when you see things come to an end or to a transition. I would say,
mhm,
it may be the end of that particular version, but it may be transitioning into something else that may, like a caterpillar, that may evolve and turn into something beautiful later on. I think
mhm,
with We Inspire in particular, we had a lot of conversations around what was in the best interest of the organization based on the support that we were able to provide as a board and what was really truly needed. And I think sometimes when you come to those points with any organization or any decision, you have to be honest
mhm,
with yourself about the realities. While also, hey, two things can be true, right? We can celebrate an amazing organization or whatever the situation may be that we did amazing work, but then also, you know, can we sustain it? Can we continue to provide the quality that it's needed in this season and this time? And the answer was no. And so with that, you have to learn how to release and let go of things that when it's
mhm,
time to exit, and still champion and support it. And so we were very intentional about, making sure we kept the website, we kept the social media pages up and archived so people could still go back and read the
mhm.
amazing stories. So it becomes more of a archival
Yeah, like a time
of what we
capsule.
yeah,
Yes.
time capsule. It's there, and then people can always go back to it. They search it, they'll still find it. And I always say, you never know. In the future there may be a rebirth of something in the future, but I think sometimes you have to let things go so that you can grow and evolve, create space for new experiences,
Mhm.
and that can actually. Um, pour into you and create new ideas or new ways to maybe recreate something or
Yeah,
create something that was an inspiration for a season in time and that leads you maybe to create something new. So
yeah,
so that's kind of how I look at things in that aspect.
yeah. So, turning the corner here, and we love to talk about Black men and mental health here.
Yeah.
And one of the things I want to ask you, just from the male perspective, as far as how do you differentiate between like I'm managing it versus like I'm shutting down? Like, how do you
Mm.
navigate and tell or decipher the differences between that?
That's a good question. I think when I think about managing something, I think about that it's actually doing the work, right?
Mhm,
If you think about a manager or whatever, you're really, managing people, you're managing expectations, you're, looking at experiences, you're doing a lot of different things as a manager. That role is can be very vast and wide. But for me, when I'm managing like a situation or something of that nature, especially when it comes to mental health, I'm actually doing the work. I'm
mhm,
going back. Looking at notes. I'm revisiting conversations. I'm, actively having conversations and doing the whole work that my therapist gives me, And so for me, it's the management part is I'm in it. I'm doing the work. I'm actually putting, like they say, feet to pavement and actually walking what I'm learning and talking so that I can, see the real time lessons or impact of what I'm learning or the slips that I'm making, right? The only way that we are able to learn and grow is by in the doing. And so if I'm just sitting on it, I don't actually get to see, all right, how do I put this into practice in real life so that I can get the real time feedback to then make adjustments or say, oh, wow, like this
mhm.
actually is working, or no, I need to pivot and try a different method that may work for me. Um, and then what was the other part you asked about? So managing versus
Oh, just managing versus shutting down. We use
shutting
the
down.
yeah.
Shutting down is just that lights out. I don't want to talk to nobody. I don't want to do nothing. It's literally like the shutdown. And I've been in spaces where it's has been so overwhelming that I can't do anything but shut down because it's too much of an input. Like there's things firing on all levels, and I don't have the capacity to really distinguish or to filter through. So I have
Mhm,
to shut down. Like I need to shut down. I need to reset. And so for me, shutting down is being quiet.
mhm,
Is kind of getting in my quiet spot. It's sometimes that looks like just going in the safe spaces that feel safe for me, going to work out, being around my people, Even just like I find myself a lot of times, driving home, either going to class or most of the time coming from class, or in the mornings, I don't have anything on.
Yeah, like you're
It's just
silent.
quiet
Yeah.
because it's so loud all the time. There's so much talking, music, movement, and then in my car.
Overstimulated. Yeah.
Yes, and I love it, and I'm just like, oh.
Yeah.
And so sometimes for me that is the shutting down. It's just being quiet. Like I don't need to hear anything. I don't even want to hear music. Sometimes I'm just like I just need to just to be still, right? Be quiet and just breathe. So.
Yes. So even in this space, and I like that because I was actually thinking about that today. Um, uh, just at work, can be overstimulating.
Mhm.
People, elevators, just movement, lot going on. And so for me, I love coming, into my residence after a long day. If I've been in the office that day, and I'll talk about it before, but LED lighting is my thing, and I
Mhm.
have it in strategic places around my place because I can put it on sunset mode, so it's very soothing. I don't
Mhm.
do the flashing, I just create, my color palette where it's just very calm, very chill. I have a weighted blanket, I do
Mhm.
aromatherapy
Yes.
outside of course, like prayer and all that, but just other avenues, and so this week, um, I had something, happen, and I felt myself getting upset, and so during my online therapy session, it was like, you're mad, but you're upset, but that wasn't you're upset about that, but it was a deeper issue, and so my
Mhm.
response signaled to the deeper issue and what I was really
Mhm.
needing for Camille, and I had to pause and go back into my toolbox of things to do for yourself because I kinda negated
Mhm.
neglected some things there
Yeah.
because, in school this semester and pocket and there was simple things that I, incorporated into my lifestyle that I kinda skipped over the last few weeks. It was like, "No.
Yeah.
Girl, go take your long hot shower, make some tea, turn the light" like, you know what to do, and it's like when I did that for myself, everything came back down.
Mhm. Mhm.
And sometimes we have to remember, first of all, do you even have things people screaming self-care, to me, that's not self-care, that's maintenance, that's a part of my life. And
Yeah.
so when you negate those things and neglect those things, it'll build up and it will show up and
Mhm.
hey chick, and so
Listen.
it signaled and it reminded me that I don't care how busy you get, I don't care what papers due, you that needs to be on the schedule. You need to be on the schedule.
Absolutely. I mean, that is, priority number one is ourselves, right? No one's what's the song? It's a remake, but Foxy, I've been listening to Foxy Brown lately. My going back
The
to the
90s,
90s. Listen,
my knees are
eh,
bad now.
listen. But it's always like no one's gonna love you like I do, meaning myself. Nobody,
Yes.
like no one's gonna love you like you love yourself. Like maybe your parents or something of that nature, but you know yourself innately, right? And sometimes we have to give ourselves permission to love ourselves first
Mhm.
before, because we always love externally, and sometimes we forget to turn that love internally and to do for ourselves what we advocate for others, right? Oh,
Yes.
you need a friend, you need to go take a break, you need to go, like, are you doing what you're telling other people to do? And
Mhm.
it's hard because we feel guilty, right? We can feel guilty about putting ourselves first or doing something for ourselves because we should be. But it's like, no, I'm on this whole thing, and it's people have said it and it's been talked about, but I'm really managing, right? We talked about doing the work. So like I'm really on this thing about I need to fill Derek up. And I don't care how that looks to anybody else but me.
That's
And
okay.
if you feel away, I ain't got nothing to do with me. That's your feelings. You need to manage that.
Mhm.
Because what I'm doing for me is allowing me to show up for the people I want to show up for and do the work that I do, but out of
Mhm.
my overflow, not out of my cup. And
Ooh.
I'm getting really stingy with that. I'm getting really like, yo, my cup is my cup. And
Right.
if I drip something out, then you be ready to catch it. But otherwise, don't know dipping in my cup. No, I'm not sharing my cup with you. No,
No dipping
like
in my cup. I
no
like
dipping in my cup. I mean, and you have to be. It's almost like you have to be very guarded, and you have to protect that
Mhm.
because right now in a world where people will just sip your cup, go to somebody else's cup. They just sipping I'm not trying to get
Just
mine
start
off.
popping.
Listen, back in high school, like back in the day, you used to tell me like, don't be kissing everybody, you get mono. You know what I'm saying? Like you back,
Oh,
so I'm like,
mono,
yeah, listen, I don't want to listen. No
yeah.
mono, but yeah,
Yo, you don't even hear about
it's
mono
real.
anymore, but
You
yes.
really don't, right? I think it was a scare tactic when we were back in high school.
I don't
But
know, but in college, we had to go over to student health as a freshman and get our mono shot. Like,
hmm
yeah, so
right.
even for you, being Black men in this world, those you spoke about the cracks, and so you were talking, it made me think about the cracks. So the weight of things you experience in life, how do those cracks show up in Black men?
I think it shows up in the pressure that we put on ourselves, but also the pressure that others add on top of that. It's like
Mm,
you can never put more pressure on a Black man than what a Black man puts on himself.
mm. Wow.
But then to add on top of that pressure, instead of helping to alleviate that pressure, I think that's where the cracks form. Because then it's like, okay, if I don't have a safe space to feel like I can vent to without saying, well, man up or do this or do, you know what I'm saying? Like, then it creates
Yeah.
like, okay, now I'm not going to share nothing. And then it gets heavier, right? And so it's like, are you adding weight to the weight that's already on top of it that adds to the cracks and expands the cracks? Or are you helping to seal the cracks by adding support, right?
Yeah.
By making us feel safe to be seen or heard. And like a lot of times it's not like we're not looking. I've learned this. It's two things. Like I'm not looking sometimes for people to solve my problem because I know most people can't solve a problem that I have. I need to figure that part out. But
Mhm.
offering support, knowing that I can go and ask for support if I need it, right? Just knowing the avenue is there is enough. Sometimes just to alleviate some of the pressure that I'm not alone. And just like when we had Heart and Soul and, we were on a panel full of brothers and everybody's talking about some of the very similar experiences, even though we all have all different walks of life, just being in that room together alleviated some of the pressure because it's like, I'm not alone in
Yeah.
some of these things I'm feeling and thinking, right?
And to hear that from other men that look like you, and
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons why I love doing that and bringing that to you all because I feel like that space is needed for our brothers,
hmm
and I just wanna continue to curate a safe space for y'all to have those conversations because just even with that, um, as a woman just hearing the pressure, it's over the last few years doing it, it has really shifted how I interact with men, especially our
hmm
men. And just having that awareness and that emotional intelligence, we speak about it for ourselves, what we want,
Yeah.
but then how do I reciprocate those emotional needs to the men around me that are my brothers and
hmm
friends?
Yeah. And then it opens a pathway because, like, although, and we talk about this, the human experience is very similar across the board, right?
Mhm.
There's nuances and things that are different based on, race and gender and things of that nature. But as a human, a lot of the fundamental things are baseline. And so when we're able to open up dialogue, open up conversation, share rooms where we start to hear some of the similar things that we are all dealing with, again, same script, just different casts, different scenarios that it might be set in, but at the baseline it's the same. It's like, then it creates more space for, Black men and Black women to have more conversations, honest conversations, safe conversations and find more commonalities even between our communities, right? Because
Yeah.
it can be very separating sometimes,
Mhm.
but under the surface it's we're all in this thing together, right? We're all in this world together, and what I might have may be able to benefit and help you, and what you need from me, and vice versa. What I need from you could be the healing things that we need, but because society, the world, even our own people sometimes can sow divisiveness within that community instead of saying, hey, you know what? I'm feeling heavy. Maybe my sister's feeling heavy too. Or you saying, maybe I'm stressed out. Maybe my brother's stressed out too. Let's figure this thing out. Let's just talk. Let's have a conversation. Let's be safe.
Yeah,
So
and those little things, like, I know you and I text each other, we'll be like, "Hey, how you doing? Don't want
hmm
anything, just checking in. Are you good?"
yeah.
And I just think those little nuances, can help, and so in that, um,
hmm
when was the last time you felt genuinely seen without having to explain yourself?
Ooh.
I know you like, "Girl, what?"
Genuinely seeing without having to. You
Yeah.
know what? It was recently, I was in Houston And one of my good friends came down to the event that we had, and they were there and they helped out. And it was almost like just picking up where we left off. Like
Mhm.
we were finishing each other's sentences. Like I needed help with something, and it's almost like they read that, like, hey, what do you need? Right. And so, and then that whole weekend was just like that. And it was a reminder for me that there are bonds and friendships that are really predicated on just that vibe, that energy. Like, you ain't got to say nothing. I got you, type of thing. And I think sometimes we have to experience that. We have to be reminded that those types of relationships and spaces do exist. Like, it's not always you got to be on guard about, okay, do they got my best interest? You know what I'm saying? Like, that is not always the case. Like, there does exist relationships and friendships out there where, you can be seen and not have to say a word. You can be heard and be quiet as a church mouse. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
those things exist, and I experienced that back in Houston, this
Mhm.
past year, and it was almost like that kind of vibrated across the energy of everybody that was there, and so everybody was starting to like just do that, like
Mhm.
and not that the others didn't, know what I needed, but I think just the energy created a space where, like say when you are around like-minded people or like-minded energy, it just rubs off on you. And so I think for everybody at that point, we were just doing it for each other. Like, hey, what do you need? Like, and it wasn't even it wasn't a question, right? It wasn't like, oh, I gotta go. Like, oh no, I'll go get it. I'll do
Yeah.
this, or and so I think just recognizing those moments, and I think in that time, my best friend was she was there too, and it was funny. She asked me a question later on, and she was like, "So how did you feel?" And I said, "The weekend was amazing." And she was like, "That was the first time I've seen you just enjoy in a long time, just existing, not stressed, not worried, just existing." And I had to kind of go back to it just to be in the moment of it, right? Just to, and I was kind of sick too. I had like this sinus and cold, and so that was
Yeah.
bothering me. But it was like, even in the midst of that,
Mhm.
that didn't distract from the experience. And so I carry that with me. Like, that's a reminder now that I can always go back to and say, nope,
Mhm.
that does exist. Like, God can provide or create those type of, like, those things already exist. Sometimes you just been missing it or so focused on everything else that the relationships that you already have established pour back into those more, so.
Yeah, that's so good, Derek. And even, as we continue, we interact with other people and grow. So we're in this space, what I call, I think a lot of us are in a space of transition, right?
Hmm.
Coming from an old chapter to a new one. So how do you respond when like an old wound is triggered by a new situation and having to separate, okay, this is this, but it has nothing to do with that. It may
Hmm.
feel like what was, but you're
Hmm.
living in your now.
um Take inventory,
Mhm.
feel it, ask yourself the question, why am I feeling like this? What about this is triggering me now? Like, I thought I was over. Like, I think sometimes we don't ask ourselves enough questions
Yeah.
to really go there, right? It's like, here we go again. And then and then it can make you revert back to your old ways of handling that situation as opposed to the more mature,
Yeah, we're not
grown, we're
down
not
this
clapping back,
season.
right?
Yes.
But you have to go back and you have to like, well, why is this? And like, therapy's really helped me to slow down. My therapist always says, breathe. First, take a breath, breathe through it,
Mhm.
feel it, and then ask like, why is this triggering me? Why is this? Kind of get to the root of it and keep asking that why until you get to the answer. Like kids, like why? About 5 whys in, you should be close. You should be at it,
Mhm.
and then you can choose how you want to respond at that point. Like if it's
Mhm.
somebody, let them be that. Let them be how they're gonna be. I don't have the energy to try to change who you are. I don't want to change who you are. I'm gonna let you
Right.
be and do what you do. And then I've been reading Mel Robbins, The Let Me Theory.
Okay.
Is it Mel Robbins? I don't even want to say it wrong. Yep, it's Mel Robbins, The Let Them Theory. And so, and that's really helped me in part of my therapy. It's like, let them. Let them be
That's
mad. Let
real.
them be petty. Let them do whatever they're going to do. Because I'm not in the business of wanting to try to control somebody else. Because that drains me. And
It
then
does.
I get to choose what I want to do from there.
Mhm.
So let them, then let me. And that's what
Yeah,
she teaches
offense
us.
is a choice.
Yeah, then let me. What I want to do. Okay, I'm going to go about my business. Or if I want to respond, I can. But I get to then empower myself to choose what avenue I want to take as a response of letting them be who they are.
Mhm.
And so I'm like, and it's funny because a lot of times when people's issue has nothing to do with me,
Mhm.
nothing. And I used to make it mean something that doesn't mean. I used to make it mean like, oh well, maybe I'm not a good friend because I didn't do this, or maybe no, I'm good over here. You figure that out. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
so that's helped a lot just in moving when, especially when things from the past try to come up, even things that may come up in me, right? Old me voices come out. You know what I'm saying? And you have to fight them back. I've had, imposter syndrome when I was in
That
LA,
was big. Like, you were doing
LA.
Ebony 100, but that was one of your biggest moments, and you're gonna have even bigger moments. And I was like, Derek is in his bag right now. And I was
I didn't
all in
want,
the comments like, yes, friend.
I'm
Yeah.
going to tell you a secret. I didn't want to go. I didn't
Why?
want to go. I
Why?
don't know, I was in a space where, because we found out that with the gala, the honoree, and
Mhm.
they get the honoree and a plus one. So it was like, hey, you only get one. So we were like, hey, well, PR team, things of that nature. And they were like, well, we'll figure it out. We'll see. And even up to like the day before I was leaving, they was like, no, sorry, we only have seat enough for the honoree and a plus one.
Okay.
And so I think, so my best friend was like, no, you're gonna go. Because my friend was like, no, y'all coming. We're celebrating. Even if y'all don't go to the event, we're celebrating. So I bought my shoes and all this other stuff, and I was like,
And you look
Camille,
nice. I love
something
your
was
pretty too.
heavy. I
Yes.
appreciate it. But it was heavy on me. I did not want to go. I was like, I don't want. I'd rather stay here. I got things I can do here. Like, let them go and have it. And then my best friend was like, no, you're getting on this plane, you're going. And even my colleague Antonio, he was like, no, we're going. Everybody said, no, we're going. So we had already booked the hotel and flight, even down to like booking the flight. I delayed so long because I just did not want to go. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna pack my suit like I'm going. I said, and she was like, watch. My best friend, she was like, watch, you're going to be in that room. And so when we were going there, we got an email that, hey, well, your publicist we have media passes for your publicist. You'll get to the after party and the post party and get to the red carpet. And that's really all we wanted to make sure that, but so when I was like, okay, cool. And so we went and picked up our media credentials, but I have there's a picture I posted and I had a caption and everything and I hadn't put it out there yet. But I was really like, the enemy was really messing with my mind. Like,
And it was a
I was
big
like,
moment.
it was a big moment. Like I didn't feel like I deserved to be in the room. I was having imposter syndrome. Like, why am I here? Like, and I was even just to the point where I was like dimming my own light. So
Mhm.
we had a whole prayer circle, like, because everybody was going through something different that weekend. And so it just so happened that we were like, yo, we're all feeling something different. And so we got together as a team and we prayed that thing out. And even still, like, speaking life and reading and praying. And, got there that day and we had an amazing experience. And I
It
am
was
so grateful that I
beautiful.
went and all that. And then it shows like the dichotomy, like how you can have two things happening that's in two different directions at the same time. Imposter syndrome on top of one of the biggest moments that you've been dreaming about in your career happening at the same time, and the struggle or the war behind the scenes of it, right?
Mhm.
And I'm so grateful that I went. I'm so grateful I had people that pushed me, that prayed, that we prayed for each other. Like, it was one of those moments that we had to come together in order to not make us miss the moment that God had blessed us with, right? So
Mhm. I love that for you. And when you posted the photos from the event, I was like, this is one of those moments he's been working towards, because that's major. Like, Ebony 100 is major. That's nothing to sneeze at, and I think of people like Susan B. Taylor, that's
hmm
huge. And so I was like, he's been working all these years. I've known him for moments like this. Like,
hmm
I was like, "You deserve it." And, looking at the photos, I couldn't tell you felt that way. You look like you belong there.
Yeah, listen, that was what prayer can do. Because at that moment, I was like, you know what, we're gonna make it do. And it was almost like they say, faith it, believe it,
Yeah,
And
do
I
it
kept reminding
scared.
myself, right, do it scared. And I kept reminding myself, one of my kind of mindset coaches years ago used to always say, in one of his trainings, he used the example. He was like, does God make mistakes? Shout out to David Bayer. And he was training a client, but he used this analogy, and he was like, does God make mistakes? And the client was like, no. He's like, okay, so if God doesn't make mistakes, then how did he put you in this room? Right? He said, God
Open
doesn't
the
make
door.
mistakes. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So every room that you're in, if God doesn't make mistakes and you believe that, then every room that you're in, you belong in.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to kind of remind myself of that. Like, I belong here. God didn't make no mistakes. I
Yeah.
am here. I have access. I'm in here because I belong to him, because this is, this is what God, where he wanted me to be in this moment in this time. And so I'm going to be a good steward of that. I'm going to honor that. And I'm going to put my flesh and those feelings aside and really allow God to just pour in. I would say, add your super to my natural. And, and then you go in and you do what you do. And then it was amazing. Again, it was a great experience. And I am so grateful to have the community around me, the tribe around me, and then of course, the Father to push me through. So
Yes. So with that being said, as we dig a little deeper into this conversation, what truth about your manhood do you wish you could say without fear of judgment?
truth about my manhood that I could say without judgment.
Or like you wish you could say without fear of judgment?
It's funny because I don't I don't think I have a fear anymore around. I think, I would say this, like, even when I teach Zumba,
Mhm.
I embrace my soft side. I embrace, I believe that we both have masculine and feminine energy, right?
Yeah.
And I used to with Zumba, I used to be like, oh, I gotta do it. I gotta tough it up on certain movements. I'm
Give
like,
it
no, if
Sean T.
I right. If I'm an instructor and I am teaching a class and my class is primarily women,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna go straight, Beyonce, but I am need to teach them and show them the sensuality of it. If the song is giving sexy or whatever, then I need to be sexy and
Yes.
help and give them permission to also open up and be sexy. And so
And
I
I've
think for
seen you
me,
teach, and I would say, not sorry to cut you off,
mm,
you instruct women from all walks of life, all body types, and a lot of women have had insecurities about their bodies, and being in your class, you create such a safe space for women, and so the way you show up is yeah, I get it.
no, I appreciate because I think about it from this point, like if a black man at that white women, Hispanic women, black women, old, young, and if they can see this man in front, be sexy, roll his body, roll his hips, things of that nature, and being authentic to the culture too, like Caribbean
Mhm.
music and things of that nature, like you be authentic to that. That gives them permission to be like, oh, if he can do it, I can do it. And so
Yep.
that's all. That's for me. That's what it's about. Like, use me. That's a gift. That's a talent. That's use me to then help other people feel confident, feel safe in a space when they've been out in the world at work being fussed at, ridiculed, or whatever the case may be. Come to this space where you can just let it go and let loose and just be your authentic self and tap in. And
Mhm.
so for me, that's a responsibility. That's something I enjoy because it helps me too to release and not I'm not nobody. The stereotypes out there, y'all can have them. Like, I'm going to be Derek 100% who God created me to be. And if anybody has a problem with that, that's their problem, not mine. So,
Period.
period.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah. And so just in this phase of, um, I think you're starting to kind of find your rhythm. What is
hmm
especially from the black perspective of a black man, what does healing look like for the version of you right now that still feels unheard?
I think still showing up loud even when I want to be quiet,
Ooh.
right? Making noise even when I'm want to be shy and I want to be, when I want to hide, when I don't want to, be seen.
Mhm.
That's when I need to be seen, right? Because I think what that does is that helps to give that gives the world another view of what it means to be a black man. Again, because we're not monolithic, right? Every black man, every black woman, every white man, white woman, everybody. No one is the same, right?
Right.
So we have to. I always believe through my life and through being a black man, I get to show the world what it means to be a black man through Derek, right? And for some people, that will be their only experience with a black man. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it's like, okay, well, my job and my role is to show up and be Derek and show, okay, well, this is also what a black man is, right? And even the other black men, like it's safe. It's okay to talk about your feelings. It's okay to be in therapy. It's okay to dance with a room full of women and lead them in Zumba, right? And all this other stuff and wear colorful clothes because Zumba is very colorful. You see, you got Caribbean colors, we got everything, but it's okay, and you can still, and you're still no less than of a man in doing that. And I think for me, that's what I feel in those moments when I want to shy back. It's like, nah, you gotta even step forward even more in that.
Gotcha. So even with that, and trusting like you with you, how do you rebuild your trust with yourself after you've acted out of pain instead of clarity?
Ooh, you getting deep tonight. Listen,
I'm trying to be a
right.
better podcaster, okay?
Come on, Lady C. Right, we call you like Lady O, so Lady C. And y'all go ahead and subscribe so we get this 11K. But no, I think for me, it's almost like how we say we have to give ourselves grace to be okay with not knowing what we didn't know at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And not judge yourself based on who you are from the lens of who you are now. Don't judge your past self. I think that's the critical thing because it's so easy for us now. Yeah, let's go there. Like it's easy for us now to look back. It's like, oh, I should have did this. I should have did that, and that. It's like, well, no, because you did what you knew to do then with all the information, with all the experience, the wisdom, whatever you were and who you were at that time. You made the best decision for you at that time. It's unfair for me today to judge Derek 10 years ago or last year. I didn't know. And it's almost like when we see people on social media or if we're watching a TV show, like, I would have did this. You don't know what you would have did in that moment. And so we do the same thing. Yeah, we do the same thing to our past selves. And we have to give ourselves grace to be like, you know what? I knew what I knew then, and I made that decision in the best. I may have done something different today, but I'm not the person then that I am now. And so that's the grace. It's like almost like your big brother has to look back at your little brother, your big sister has to look back at your little sister and say, you know what, it's okay. You did the best you could. And so that's how I contend with like when things in the past come up. I'm like, I was different. That was me then. And me now wouldn't do that, but me now also has the wisdom enough to be gracious to the me then and not hold judgment or guilt for that. So
when I think about those moments where you reflect, oh, if I hadn't done that, I would be here by now. But then I have to think about what was happening in my life during that time. And again, through prayer, devotion, and therapy, I've been doing a lot of that lately. But it was like, Camille, look at what was happening in your life at that time. You weren't even thinking about purpose and destiny. You were just trying to make it through this chapter of the season right here because you can even see beyond that situation because sometimes when you're in the middle of it, the weight, it was heavy. And now it's just like, having to, it's one thing when you forgive other people, but then we have to revisit that forgiveness for yourself. And that conversation can be very layered.
Yeah, it can be very sticky. And again, like you say, our memory, because if we really did take the time to sit back and think about everything that we were going through, we still wouldn't remember all the nuances of what was going on in that moment. We'll remember the high level things, some of the specific elements, but we won't understand all the other factors that were also, impacting, every little nuance that led to whatever that decision was or who we were then. And it's like, you can't you can't really even today make an informed decision around them because we still miss so much information that
Yeah.
we don't 10 years from now, things that change and shift. And so it's like, and that's where the additional grace comes from. Because it's like,
Hmm.
I still don't remember all the reasons why I made that decision. I remember some of the reasons. I remember that probably the result of that of that
I
decision.
always remember the results.
Right. But I don't remember everything that led up to that decision.
Yeah.
And so I did it. I own it, but I'm not the me now that I was then. And I
Yeah.
give myself grace for who I was then to
Hmm.
say, hey, whatever decision you had to make, listen, you did the best that you did with what you knew and what you had. And, you know, anybody else in that same situation would have made a different decision or another
Yeah.
decision or made the same similar decision, right? And so it's like, how dare someone, even myself, you know, judge or make, myself feel guilty or talk down to my old self. Because we're all of those versions of us is still a part of who we are now,
Hmm.
right? And so some part of that version of you is still going to feel hurt if you attack it. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And so we have to remember that we all are still coexisting in this one human
Yeah.
body. All the versions of us, we live multiple lifetimes, I believe. If I think about high school and college, I was a whole different life, you
Totally
know?
different life. Totally.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
And even with that, even when we're waiting, we were talking before we went live, and I was talking about a Bible class from this week
Hmm.
and how my pastor on some of the talking points, and he got to um, delay frustration and
Hmm. Hmm.
because waiting on God, and so I was listening to something, leaving the office, coming back to my residence, and the person I was listening to, she said, we take delay as judgment or punishment when actually the delay was actually part of the process, and
Hmm.
it's not a final decision from God. It was actually part of the process and not judgment or decision.
Yeah.
And to realize that if he had given it to you then, the people around you would have destroyed it, or the weight of it, because it's so awesome, you would have destroyed it because you didn't realize the worth of it, but it wasn't a part of his final decision for your path, but actually part of your process.
I one thing that I do wish that I'm working on
Mhm.
is being more present when those moments show up,
Yeah.
not react in the emotion of the delay, but to remember the plan that he has in the moment of the delay. Because the delay, I'll be mad. Listen, I
I've been
did this.
having
Listen,
whole
still.
Baptist fits like, Jesus
Listen, I done
Christ.
did this, da da da. It's like, hold up there, hold
Falling
on.
out like a
Mm-mm.
toddler on aisle 2, mad.
And I got to reel it in. And sometimes it takes me a minute. Because I can get so focused and I ask God to forgive me this a lot of times. I'm like, God, I am sorry for moving without consulting you. Forgive me and help me to be a better steward to know to consult you before I move. But a lot of
Yeah.
times I am on A to B. I'm on to the next thing. And then when
Mhm.
something doesn't happen, I'm like, hold up, okay. And it always shows up because something doesn't feel right. And when my energy is off, that's like a sign to be like,
That
okay,
discernment is real.
that discernment, okay, let me sit back. Like,
Yeah.
why am I upset, mad, pissed? Like, that's not in alignment with what God, the energy, right? The being in alignment with the divine, with God, is not confusion. It's not frustration. It's not any of those things, right? It's peace, it's clarity, it's joy, it's those things. Those things happen for the human side of us, right? But I can always tell when I am out of alignment or I'm getting there because then I start to really get in the flesh. I really start to be
Mhm.
like, you know what? Like, no, hold up. What's going on? And then let me reflect. Like, God, okay, there was moments that I had to wait and you showed up right on time. So this is no different than that. You are moving. And then I'll pray, okay, Holy Spirit, give me a download, which I've been talking about up there. Like, give me a download to know that I'm on the right path, that I'm in the right, and then it'll always come. It will
Oh,
always come in the form of a confirmation. I'll say this. going to LA. I was praying. I got on the plane from here, and I was like, God, okay, you know I don't want to go, God, but I just need you to be in the midst.
I don't want to go.
You know I don't want to go, God, but just be in the midst because I had so much anxiety about traveling. This is when, government shutdown was going on. I was like, God, I don't want to be in all this. I was like, and that was eating into it.
But did he not make it smooth for you?
Listen, and that's why I say it's the God. I call it the God wink. Or somebody shared with me, and I took it. I can't remember, but it's like the God wink. Like when he winks at you, like I got you. I'm with you. So I flew from Raleigh-Durham to Atlanta. I took a late flight because I went to see Brandy and Monica in Greensboro, and I was like, I didn't want to get up early to have to catch a flight. My best friend was here, and all the other stuff. So I took a late flight on Sunday. So I packed up, and here's how the enemy messes with you. I already knew what outfit I was going to take. Couldn't find my black shirt. And I was like, mall was closed, and my mom was like, "Where's the black shirt?" I was like, "It's not." She was like, "Is it in your room?" I was like, "Mama, if it was in my room, I would know." She said, "Well, I said, you have never hung up anything in my room. It's not in my room." And so I'm getting snappy at people around me, right? And I was like, okay. So we find the black shirt. So I was like, okay, because like I already knew what I wanted to wear. So because it was one more thing that I had to now figure something else out, it was just adding to my frustration.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you already don't want to go. Now you can't find the clothes, right? All that. So found the clothes, got everything together, got to the airport. I was like, all right, God.
Again, his friend was cute too.
Thank you.
Always gas.
So I created my own itinerary because I wanted to fly to LA with my colleague who's in Atlanta. So I flew from RDU to Atlanta and I timed it right. So I was like, okay, cool. I was like, dang, Atlanta's airport is huge. So when I got there, I was like, okay, what gate I'm going to be at? How about the gate that I landed at? The gate that I was taking off was right next to it. I just had to walk over, it was there. And I was like, you know what, God? And I was saying, it was funny because I was on the plane and I was like, okay. And I couldn't do nothing but smirk. And so then I was hungry. So I was like,
and God was like, you was doing all that.
And you was doing all this. And so I was hungry, right? I'm going to give you a second one. Right in that moment, I was like, okay, I was hungry. I was like, I got to get on the plane. But I said, but by the time I get to LA, everything will be closed. I'm hungry. So I walked to the food court. They were taking forever. And I was like, I went to Panda Express. That's my spot. I was like, okay, I'm going to go get me some orange chicken, something, give me my stomach. And so in line, and I was like, oh my goodness, my flight. Got an update. Flight was 15 minutes delayed. So I was able to get in line, get my food, get back to the gate, eat my food. He created time. He redeemed the time. Able to eat my food. I met my colleague. I was full and comfortable. Smooth flight all the way to LA. The hotel was right next door. Got right to the hotel. Didn't have to book. I mean, everything. The rental car, like it was so smooth the whole trip. Where God was like, you know what? I'm gonna take one less thing off your plate that you don't have to worry about. And it was. And so when I say like. It's like those small reminders that pop up that you have to recognize that helps to kind of level set you or reset you or reground you in moments when you're just like, you know what? Like, I don't feel it, God. I don't know what's going on. Like, it's a pause. But God's like, no, I got you. And I'm going to give you signs around to remind you to be easy, be good. I got you. Like, am I good? Yes. Well, am I good? Then know that I'm good and be set and be, and be good in that. So, yeah.
Yes, I love it. So, as we begin to wrap up, we began this year with the interview with Cat Williams and at Club Shay Shay, which was just wow, for so many reasons, right?
That part.
And so, this week, again, not on my bingo card, in a gazillion years, you would have never told me Lady Michelle Obama would be interviewing Cat Williams. Like, and so in the interview, he said something. Of all things Cat could say, he was like, he was talking about God, and he said, when you have that pressure, he said, take that pressure off of you and put that pressure on God. Because he has things in his word that are covenants, and he's obligated to his covenant, to his word. So put the pressure on him to fulfill his covenant, his word. And I was like, but then the caveat, he said, but you have to be also be in covenant with him. That's the clause.
Yeah,
but when he flipped it like that, I was like, that okay.
Listen, I have
we say some wild stuff, but then at the same time, I was like, he is right. I
have a mantra that I say before I I say my prayers. I go through it when I pray, I go through it first before I even get to my prayer. And I got it from woman, Chanel Cooper Sykes. You may have heard of her, but in the part of it that she had wrote out that I adopted was like, I now cast all of my burdens onto you, God. All of my walls of lack and delay now immediately fall away. All people, places, circumstances, and opportunities. I added some of those things that belong to me are flowing to me in an avalanche of abundance immediately. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, and then I continue. Right? I'll write it and send it to you. But it reminds me, like, God, like, I cast all my burdens onto you. I am not going to carry nothing that's not meant for me to carry. You say cast them onto me, so I am going to cast them. And we have to remind ourselves, because we'll try to hold it in our own human strength and be mad and be heavy. And it's like, no, God says cast your cares onto me. So listen, here you go. You ask for it, here you go, God.
I love it. So our co-host has one thing for you before we begin to wrap up.
Before we wrap up, what are your key takeaways from our conversation, and where can our listeners find you on social media?
Well, thank you for asking, Jazz. So key takeaways. I think the biggest thing is, I would say, you belong in every room that you step into. Never doubt your divinity and who God created you to be. Like, you are uniquely and wonderfully made, and it's only one you. And if you weren't supposed to be in that room, you wouldn't have been in that room. So just know that every room that you step in, own it. Own it. Be the light that God created you to be, and trust the process, right? Be patient in the moments of uncertainty, knowing that God is moving things around. He's working things out for your good. And although you cannot see it, don't doubt his goodness. And so that's the key takeaway that you can apply to any situation, any scenario, from work to personal. Just stay tried and true in that, because he's shown up too many times. I have too many testimonies and stories that I can share around how he did that for me and how he's shown up. I'm sure, Camille, you have those too. And those listening, if you reach back deep enough, you have those examples too that you can lean on. So pull those out, have those ready for any reminder as you continue to journey through life.
Yes, I call it getting the receipts on your life. And I keep them in my prayer journal, one of them around here, and every now and then I go through there and I check things off and I'll put the date next to it. Like, yeah, he did that.
Mm-hmm. He did that.
So really good.
He did that.
He did. I hope everyone got something from this. Thank you for stopping by, Derek, to help me wrap up. We're 2 live episodes away from wrapping up the 2025 season of the Speaker Podcast, and I had to do it with you because, like, it just made sense. So
I am honored. And I am excited for this 11K that you're about to get. And
like, do it, Lord. We need to get it before the end of the year.
you hear us now. Do it. Right. God, be a click. Be a subscribe.
If he subscribe, I'm not gonna log out.
Listen, like, you gonna go in like God, like, oh, love.
Yeah,
God is there, right?
Absolutely. But everyone, please go over and follow me across all social media platforms. The information is there. I am working to keep the Speaker Podcast ad free, so you can also scan the QR code and right here, this is my link tree. That way you can stay connected to everything I have going on right there. And we also have new music just released on last night. So the new visual and the new song is available. I'm streaming on Tidal, y'all. I have a 5-track. I'm on Tidal. Like, that was not on the it was not on the bingo card. So y'all go over there and follow all the things. And tune in next week. My guest will be here. If you want to know who that is, you need to go to my website and find out. I also have a free download for my subscribers at CamilleEssick.com, just as a way of saying thank you for subscribing. And with that being said, everyone, this is Camille Essick. I'm host of the Speaker Podcast. This is the podcast where innovators and critics connect. You all be blessed. Happy holidays. Good night. Bye-bye.
Wow. What a conversation. Gentlemen, if you enjoyed tonight's convo or would like to see more episodes like this, drop it in the comments below. Be sure to tag a brother and subscribe. Be safe. Be blessed. Good night.
Thank you again to my guests, and also thank you for joining us on this episode of the Speaker Podcast. If you were late catching the conversation, no worries. Slide over to my YouTube channel and catch the replay. Be sure to hit that notification bell and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Help keep the Speaker Podcast ad-free. Hit the link below and buy me a coffee. Your support keeps the podcast free of interruptions while bringing you more impactful conversations.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Speak Her Podcast. Be sure to follow Camille on Instagram at camille.essick, Facebook at the Speak Her Podcast, or www.camilleessick.com.
Listen.